All right. Welcome, guys, to the Tech with Chris podcast 2. I am Tech with Chris, and today we're going to be talking about announced iPhone 8, 8 Plus, and the iPhone 10. And also, we're going to see what Android and iPhone users say about that. I'm an Android user. And I'm joined here by two of my friends, special fans. Please welcome Tiffany Reed.
Hi.
Tiffany Reed, Rene Severin, MCLPlayzz, and Gary P.
Hey.
Hey.
So let's kick this show off by thanking our fans who are watching this live on YouTube, and for also people who are joining the conversation on the live chat. So if you're submitting questions now, that's okay. For the Q&A at the end of the section. Off of the intro, we're going to be talking about at September 12th, Apple, of course, announced the 3 new iPhones there. The iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, which were the main 2 phones that got announced. They slightly look a little bit different, but they're still the same. Like, the specs are maybe a little bit different, but overall the camera design still looks the same. So what do you guys think about the event? Like, did you guys watch it, or did you guys at least hear about it?
I didn't really see it, so.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I see little clips of it, and I feel like they kind of amped the phone up a little bit, like put a little too much detail to make it seem more than it is. But yeah, I don't really follow up on those because of that. I kind of just wait for the phone and I see it for myself and test it out with my own 2 hands.
Yes, similarly, I didn't have a chance to watch the launch myself, but I was able to see a snippet of it on CNET, and similar to what I believe Rene mentioned, I did not seem as glamorous as they, I guess, hyped everyone up to think it would be, and so yeah, but I'm definitely due for an upgrade. So I was curious about what sort of new features were going to be included with this I guess new edition of iPhone.
Yeah. Like, at the event, there is pumping people up. They're like, we're going to be announcing 2 iPhones, and the iPhone X is basically just a standout model. It's an entry model to what Apple is saying is the new generation of iPhone, and I don't quite think it, because you have to pay $1,000 just to buy the thing. Like, who wants to spend $1,000 for a special sorry guys for starting for just for entry model that's gonna be the future, quote unquote, Apple said. Like, even though the specs are the same, just the display is different and the stainless steel sides are gonna be scratched up easily. So what's your take on that is gonna be?
I could start. I mean, this is Gary. Well, in terms of the price point, I think that the $1,000 definitely seems very high. I'm not really sure compared to when the iPhone came out, I guess 10 years ago or so, like what the retail price was then. You know, I think people probably would still buy it just because it's an iPhone, and there's obviously a connection to Apple in a lot of ways. For me personally, I would not spend that much money on the phone, especially considering the features. I mean, the features don't seem to be that much worth it. And just in terms of the use, my own use for the phone, I can't imagine spending $1,000 for a phone that really, I personally just need basic features. And so that's, I guess, my opinion on that.
Well, how I feel about paying that much for a phone
I agree.
is it's very misleading. It's like Apple's last jump to make a quick couple $1 million, because the features that they have are pretty similar to the newest or the latest iPhone 7. And I actually own the iPhone 7, and when you do a comparison side by side, the only thing new on the iPhone 10 or X that they're calling it is the facial recognition, which is like that technology has been around for decades. You know what I mean? Like Xbox has had it on their Connect device. You know what I mean? They use the same type of censoring. So for them to just throw that on a phone and then throw a nice price tag on it that just woos all the people who aren't very tech savvy, it kind of defeats the purpose of trying to make a positive sale, because you already know what you're getting. You know what I mean? So putting that kind of price tag on it is really ridiculous.
Yeah.
Not a phone for me.
I know. The Galaxy S3, and that was the phone that I started using facial recognition, and I was like, ooh, this sounds pretty cool. Tried it on my brother, and it unlocked. I was like, okay, this isn't as secure, but I don't think, like, if a guy's seen the last part of Apple's iPhone X, where Craig, the guy was testing it out, it didn't unlock at all. Like, they said it's easy as 1, 2, 3. And I'm wondering, but as he replied to email by a user, he said that the iPhone was looking for him. And I was like, okay, now I understand. It was looking for him. It wasn't just a failure on software, even though it's everything that gets announced is in pre-development phase, still getting the final specs and stuff. But I don't think they should get rid of the home button nor the fingerprint scanner. Like, if I was an Apple user and I had to spend $1,000 on a thing, which I wouldn't, first I'd be like, where's the home button on this thing? Oh, that's got to scroll up. I'm not a scroll up person. I want to press the home button. Like, the Galaxy 8 has an invisible home button. I'll give them points on that. But removing the fingerprint sensor too is different. Like, it's not as good. So, Tiffany, what do you think about the
removing
home button
the
fingerprint scanner?
Removing the home button / fingerprint scanner is a big hit because it's just so convenient. Like when you're doing quick pay in like a gas station or a McDonald's or just like going to the ATM real quick, it's gonna be very obnoxious to whip out your phone and stare at it in order to complete a transaction. You know what I mean? It just makes that step much more difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Like, what
that
do you think, Tiffany? What's your thoughts on
it? About the iPhone X?
Yes, not only that, staring at it. It's the 10. You could call it 10 or X, like most people say.
I mean, like, I saw a video that like someone did saying like things to know before buying this phone, and I saw it and I was like, that's why Android is better, right?
Because it had it first. It was the first couple phones to have it. Like TSC when I had facial recognition. Yeah, it was way first. And Apple just joined the hardware.
I can't really give you guys feedback on that end because I've never owned any type of Android. I lie. I owned an Android, but it was a G1, the Google phone, one of the first touchscreen phones. So like we surpassed that technology, and I have no idea what Android is up to these days. So I can't really weigh in there.
I'm gonna ask a silly question. Is the can you use Facebook?
No questions are silly.
This one might be, I promise. Can you use facial recognition if it's dark outside? Like if you're in a dark room, recognition?
Yes. I think
yes,
you can.
because facial recognition
Apple
doesn't go off the camera; it goes off of a sensor.
Can work in a dark room.
Ah, I see. Okay, I see.
They have motion sensors in our top notch on the phone.
I see.
It sounds pretty cool and such. Like they demonstrated on Snapchat how it instantly locks on your face when you're moving, and if have you guys seen the animojis where the that are like are on your face, and you can actually talk to it too. It's cool how Tim Cook did the thing. It was really funny.
Yeah, I thought that it was interesting to see that because I'm a bit older and I'm not really a fan of emojis in general. So it was interesting that that was kind of like presented as this like huge feature when I probably if I had that iPhone I would never use that and it would seem like for me.
Well, this is where you got to think about Apple's marketing skills. They know that your generation isn't really going after this phone. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
your generation who has kids that are in this
Yeah.
generation will. You know
that's
what I
true.
mean? They're gonna be like, "Mommy, Daddy, I want this phone. I want to look at what it can do. Look at what it can do." And they're gonna be like, "Okay, here, do good in school. You can have this phone. Great, great, great." So there's another $1,200 for Apple. Then you multiply that by the millions that are on it worldwide. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like we're in the age of Snapchat, Instagram, and cute little emojis. If your emojis that you use daily can now move with the reaction of just your face, whoa, that's a
Mm,
big selling point.
That is
okay.
cool.
See,
Yeah,
clearly
but
I'm too
if
old.
I may
Eh,
add here, this is a caller from the West Coast, and Rick
yeah,
Barnes.
yeah.
So if Apple is going for shooting for emojis, and if you think that's what there's to be, they're going to lose a lot of business because you do have a tremendous amount of enterprise users. So those are the folks they will look to learn how they need to capture. Unlike for a company like Samsung, who is leading the industry by all means, we like to capture the enterprise customer, get the people who would like to kind of play with the device, such as the artists and things like that. So pretty much, if you eligible for Apple device, I highly encourage you to check out the Note 8, which has tremendous amount of features that you will love to use.
And it just came out.
Devices, I should say the X or the 10 as they're calling it, the parts of it are coming from Samsung. So when you look at that device or look at that screen, it's actually made by us. I mean, Samsung. So
That's true.
at 2 cents.
Yeah. Yeah, what you said was true. Like,
You
where
know
you get the
what?
screen from? App
I
Samsung.
still am going to go against
And
Samsung.
they helping them.
You guys are breaking up. What was the
Like
last part?
Samsung's like the main manufacturer.
Hello?
Yeah. Yeah, we're still here. Yeah, I'm here. Because
Silence.
most of the manufacturing came from Samsung. They were the ones that built and helped Apple get their stuff, like their chipsets, mainly from Samsung, iPhone X, the display. Without Samsung, other companies, but without them, where Apple would go by themselves, who knows? They could have gone to some third-party company, but they went for Samsung.
But that's common though. I mean, I feel like tech companies generally, um, obviously with discretion or without discretion, will kind of steal from each other. Pick and choose which parts will help build up. And I mean, a consumer may point out that this, you know, technology stolen from Samsung, but it's still branded as Apple. So I don't know if that would. I'm not sure if that has any bearing.
Yeah, like,
Unless someone
like I
else, unless
agree.
some,
Like, yeah, and also like going back to the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, they went with glass and metal design, like what Samsung has been doing since the Galaxy S6, and we all know what happens to glass bats. They all shatter on impact. I had the experience, and that was, ugh. It was the worst. But Apple's calling it their strongest glass ever. Like, oh, we'll have to see about that. What do the YouTubers say about that?
Yep.
What's your guys' take on it? Do you think Apple should have just changed it to like some glossier thing that's stronger than what? What's your take on it?
I think they should have kept the like bezels how they normally had it. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would
because
agree with that.
that phone's gonna be slippery.
It is difficult to
Like
tell.
even though they say it's the strongest glass ever.
I think what
Yeah, I
Apple
was saying
has
like
done,
that.
they created that mid to almost high tier device, and what they did was they kept all the bezels in there to satisfy those users. When they call themselves and come out with the device, they turned around and wanted to go green like everybody else has gotten into. So to pay up to $1,200, $1,300 for the X device because out of money. So they keep the folks that are currently may have the iPhone 7s and some of them will have the iPhone 8s. Although the iPhone 8 and iPhone 7 is pretty much the same device. So a lot of those folks, they'll get a lot of business that device. With the 10, it is just showing them that, hey, we have a screen also that competes with the LGs, the Samsungs, and the also the Google Pixel, who's actually going to an all screen. So I think that's pretty much what that device is going to be. As far as a leap forward, it's
Yeah.
really, in my opinion, and most tech observers see the X as a phone that's still 2.5, 3 years behind
Hmm.
because of the things that they just finally added. Their Apple companies, they pull them along by adding 1 or 2 items per year when they launch their device. Companies actually really take the leap and give everything all at once, and then they have to step up to the plate to produce something else that they want. But nowadays, how fast this world moves into a device is to help that consumer, prosumer, excuse me, and that business user to really get them to move faster. When you want to talk about a device that moves fast today, it's actually 1 or 2 steps, and you are where you need to be. So with Apple, they kind of pull you along, kind of give you a teaser every year what they're going to do. And I think with the X is not a bad device, not there just yet.
Yeah,
I
not
mean
until
that
November.
seems like, what was that?
Yeah, like I said, not until like November because November 3rd is when the iPhone X comes out, and the mainstream phones, like they're only selling that because they think, oh, we're more premium, like we're slightly better because that the 8 and 8 Plus are only there for normal people. The X, I think, is for people who want to spend more on little more stuff, like for an example, the OLED screen, which if you compare that until if you compare that for the new Galaxy Note 8, it has 425 pixels per inch, which is a little bit dimmer than the Galaxy Note 8 at 1000 nits. So good luck if and planning to get the iPhone X. Good luck having that going to the outside and using that phone in the supreme sunlight.
Yeah, I think one of my frustrations is similar to what you guys just mentioned. Um, you know, I currently have the iPhone 6, and I've been waiting to see what the new upgrades were because I felt like moving from 6 to 7 didn't feel like a big enough jump. So I waited an extra year to see what the 8 would look a little bit frustrating because it just doesn't seem like it's that significant of a move. And generally, I keep my phone for about 2, if not 3 years, or more. And so if I were to move up or to any phone, I would want it to be an upgrade that was worthwhile. Which at this point, it doesn't seem like that's the case.
Got to get a Samsung.
Yeah.
No, 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 no,
Yep.
for for Apple users, like, what is your main choice for choosing
Still an Apple user?
Apple?
What was that, Christopher?
What, like, for your Apple users, like, what's the main choice you chose Apple? Like, is there a particular reason why?
Well, I chose Apple because it was up and rising when I was able to get my own phone, get a plan. I was about 17, 18 at the time. The iPhone 4 was just out. And back then there wasn't any competition. Like you had BlackBerry, which is very basic, not a touchscreen phone. You still had Sidekick floating around. So iPhone was the new elitist kind of phone to have. You were like the coolest kid around if you were a child and had it. And also if you were a businessman, it allowed you to access your emails on hand better than BlackBerry was doing at the time, in my opinion. So yeah, the reason why I went with Apple was just the popularity of it. It was kind of like a bandwagon that just got a little out of hand, as you see with this iPhone X.
Yeah, that's similar to what my iPhone was. Prior to the iPhone, I had a flip phone, and then it stopped flipping. It was it was broken, and similar to what Rene just mentioned, I wanted access to, and I also wanted to be able to have a device where I could take pictures and have my music all in one place. And so the iPhone was definitely very convenient for me. The other part of it was the fact that I had an Apple laptop, and so I wanted to also have I felt like having two devices that kind of spoke with one another with each other would be, I guess, advantageous for me. And so I've kind of been stuck ever since. It's been, I guess, about 10 years or so. Well, not more like 8 actually that I've had the iPhone. But I'm still reluctant to move out from world. To Rennie's point, it just seems like it's the the glamour of it has got.
Yeah. Like, the reason why I chose Android is because it was, like, the only greatest phone out there, in my opinion, because you could do way more stuff. Like, there's way more apps, more features. You could download your own music to it. And, yeah, but almost the Galaxy S3, like, that was, like, the revolutionary phone I ever had. And it was actually pretty cool. And it was, like, you could do way more stuff on it, because I thought those were only great phones you could only get. But, of course, there's other competition like BlackBerry and all that stuff. That's why we then chose Android as well.
Yeah, like it's more flexible because like I'm like really creative, so like the iPhone I feel it's restricted in a way. So Android it's more flexible, you can customize it more. So yeah.
So can I ask the Android users,
Yeah.
have you guys ever used an iPhone? Have you ever had an iPhone?
I had an iPod. I don't think that counts as an
iPod
iPhone.
Touch 4.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What was the main reason
No, it's
you
okay.
guys?
Like, I had an iPod Touch.
Sorry.
No,
There's a
it's
little
okay.
bit
It's
of a
okay.
lag, so I don't
Go
know
ahead.
when someone's talking and if it's quiet or not. But yeah, what were some of you guys' main reasons for choosing Android instead of iPhone? Like, what were your selling points?
Flexible.
Well,
For me, it was
me,
like flexible.
yeah.
More stuff on
But
You
wouldn't you
got it.
argue
You got
that
it.
Apple had the same flexibility in terms of music?
Not really, no.
No. And also, one particular reason is because you have to download iTunes just to sync your phone to. And I was like, no.
I
Well, with my
know.
phone, I could just go on the internet browser, download a YouTube video, and enjoy it rather than go to iTunes, download this, and sync it with my iPod Touch, wait for 5, maybe 15 minutes, take it off the cable, more stuff to it, download more stuff, put it to iTunes, sync it to my iPhone, and yeah.
Same.
That's a good argument. I can hear that.
So, Rene, would you move to an Android?
Yeah.
Probably not. Only because of the comfortability I have with an iPhone and that I know it in and out. I know how to fix it if it goes wrong. I know little troubleshooting things. Um, and to me, Samsung is just like uncharted waters. Like I don't know what's there. I don't know what's waiting. Like the specs are great. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't know how to troubleshoot things. It'll be like starting from the beginning. So I'd rather stick to my guns. But that doesn't mean me going out and buying the X because even as an avid iPhone user, I would still wait for like 2 releases. I'm not gonna get the newest one every year. I'll wait. I just got the 7, so I'll wait for the 11 or the 13 to come out, whatever they decide to release first. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, even though it's less expensive, like there are Android phones less expensive for example, the OnePlus 5 you get for $400, which is way more cheap than any Android phone out there. Like from most videos that I've seen, there's less expensive Androids all over the place. Even though there's mid-tier, which could be less to more expensive.
Can I ask a quick question? Is Samsung the same as Android? Or is Android just the operating system and Samsung just a phone?
Android's the operating system.
Right. Okay.
Android's the operating system. They operate like over 1 million phones and smartwatches and stuff. They pretty much the brains behind the operation for Samsung and LG and other devices besides iPhones. iOS just runs Apple, which is only found on Apple products, while Android is found on way more stuff than you could ever think of.
Well,
we're going to
let
wrap
me
it
add
up,
to that
and
to,
before we wrap it up, let's
answer
go to our Q&A.
if one point in there, Chris, if I can, I appreciate it. To kind of go back on Rene's question, Samsung and Apple, I believe it was. Yeah, Samsung is the to Android provider. There are many other ones that are out there, but we lead the industry as far as the Android market. We run nothing different than anybody else, but every Android manufacturer can put their own twist on there, whether it's knocking on a screen, 2 taps to open it up, or to squeeze the side of a device to open up or close a device, how you speak to it and things like that. Android has come a long way since way back where they would get for hacked, I should say, because it was open to the entire market. Anybody can sit in their basement and create whatever. It was a lot of malware involved. So Android vanilla phase, they has made a major improvement. A program called Knox, Knox, that actually to Android. So if there's anything that's entering your phone that's there, you can actually will shut your phone down, or it from your device being hacked or turning into something else, such as being your banking information being hacked and things like that. So it depends on the level of that the Android manufacturers put on it. Samsung leads the way with that. So that's one of the reasons why we're in the government segment now. The White House people in there, they have the device and so forth. You go back a few years
I
ago,
don't
it
support
was
nothing
all
in the White
Android.
House right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So going back a few years, yeah, it was all Apple. Prior to that, it was all BlackBerry. But we also developed a partnership with BlackBerry, so I'm secure in keeping all the bad people out. But Chris, I'm going to go back to you. Take it over where you said you were closing. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, that one point was actually really, really true.
Hey, there's one more question coming in from the Southeast. Hold on.
Okay.
This question is for Gary. Have you noticed that you use your Apple phone computer interchangeably? Do you use it as often?
I answered the question earlier, but I think what the reason this young lady tapped in our phone line was asking, do you find yourself using your Apple device more, being that you have an Apple handset and an Apple computer?
Oh, using
and they interchangeable, so you use them more.
You know,
I'm sorry, we could not hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, there's a lot of breaking up.
Yeah, you're breaking up. Yeah, we still hear you.
I'm going to share that, you know, devices between cell phone and laptop. However, a lot of the finding, you know, is in the cloud. So that's kind of where I am. So yeah, that's my
Yeah, sorry, you might have to type that question into our answer. We couldn't hear you. Oh, you're on an Apple device right now?
Wow, you got some jokes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna wrap up for Q&A. So if you guys have any questions about iPhones or Android or anything in particular. Okay.
How did Samsung get into the government sector?
There are people that work in that segment from Samsung, which came from the our Dallas office, and actually were visited from South Korea to get in there and actually present and speak to the security piece of it. So secure your information with financial institutions and things like that, and then they actually will get a trial unit or a trial run of, and they'll use it for whether 60, 90 days or whatever the case may be. Passes the IT processes on their end, then that's how they get approved or rejected.
All right, seems like it's extremely vetted. But do they know that your products explode?
Note 7, like
not all the products. I'd like to take that, please. I didn't know we were going there. So again, my name is Rick. I'm just representing Samsung, and our devices do not explode. It's only when you go to stores like 5 and below or things like that, and you plug in those chargers, which will set off the mechanism for a device to possibly overheat. Apple devices, however, have caught fire, but people continue to use them, and they will never recall their products because they say no harm, no foul, and they continue to go. But Samsung, as a company, we actually taught the industry on the do's and do nots on how to install and properly take care of an incident such as the one that has happened. But we have recovered, and we're in the top 10 brand worldwide also.
All right, I'll give it to you. All right.
I just dropped the mic.
Yeah, well spent.
I kid.
Rick, well done. Questions, Tiffany? Do you have any questions you'd like to ask?
My only question is like, what phone in the Samsung area, possibly the S series, like the S8 or whatnot, would be good for me?
Thank you for your question. How do you currently use your phone?
Can you be more specific with the question?
Well, okay, what I mean is when I say to you how to use your phone, so are you using it for, say, school, or you like taking pictures, larger screen so you can see more, or in your downtime, do you like watching high-res videos such as Netflix on 4K level? That's what I was getting at.
Well, I mainly use my phone for like fun reasons, but I do my camera, I do music, texting, just YouTube, just all that fun stuff, you know?
So I probably would recommend our 5.8-inch screen, which is our Samsung 8, which you would get the best camera out there on the market, 12 megapixel, low light. So if you want to get your photography on, you can actually use that.
Hey, is this
also,
Tech Talk or is this sale time?
What's that?
Is this Tech Talk or is it sale time?
No, well, I'm answering the young lady's question, so I'm giving her the options. So I would recommend the S8 would be for you.
That's what I was kind of gonna go for anyway.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, if you want a much larger screen, which you could do bigger stuff on with a pen, got current right now, which is $60 cheaper than the X, is a preference. Watch is actually really cool because you could just not mess the S Pen for doing GIFs. You could do live messaging, which you could just send. And I think that phone's like, I think that's a phone for like viewing much bigger screen. Before we wrap up, does anyone have any more questions?
No, I'm pretty squared away. At the end of the day, like, Apple's gonna do their thing regardless of what we think.
True.
But I can give Samsung a thumbs up because they are, in my eyes, they are leading the way in some aspects. But I'm just set in my ways, you know. Like I just like the iPhone. I've always had it. I'm familiar with the design, so I'll stick with it. But I'm also all for Samsung and their progress in the technology world.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining in on the second podcast. And
Thank you for having us.
Google's doing their.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Chris.
No problem. Thank you for joining me. As always, guys, for people watching on YouTube, on social media, make sure to subscribe for more videos, as there'll be more where that came from, and also try to do more podcasts. And yeah, make sure to subscribe to one of my friends, Tiffany. She has make great content, MCLPlayzz as well.
Link me below,
the
Chris.
Guys, if you guys have it, I will. And yeah, we will.
All right, thank you guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Samsung out.
Have a
Bye.
good night, everybody.
Bye.
All right, guys. See you next time, and hopefully we'll. And yeah, bye, and thank you for
Bye,
joining.
Chris.
Bye, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you again.